Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to another Patreon exclusive tutorial. Now, in this video, Patreon exclusive track breakdown I should say, I'm going to be going over how I made my track Shutdown, which is my most recent full all platform release. You can go and check out on Spotify and everything. I recommend you give it a listen before you watch this, as it will kind of help you to, I guess, understand a bit more what's going on and where the individual elements I'm showing you fit in. But yeah, here we are, side FL Studio as it usually is. Here's the track as a whole. You can see we've got quite a few elements here, not too many. We've got I'll just quickly break down kind of the composition. So we've got the intro build-up section around here, the first drop, then the breakdown and second build-up, then the second drop and the outro. And then in these bits, this is the drums. These are the basses. You can see bits of automation dotted around as well. Then these are the synths that we've got. So not the basses, but the synths you got in the intro and you can hear in the build-up and stuff. And then these are all effects and these bits as well, and some vocals, and yeah, of course, more automation. So yeah, if we just start with the drums, if I mute everything else. So those are just the drums in the intro, fairly simple. Just the kick and the shaker sample. The kick, most of the drums in this track, by the way, are from the Digital Koala pack by the producer. Really good pack for UK based drums. And yeah, here's the kick I used if you want to use the same one. And this shaker actually I think is probably off Splice. So if you got Splice, you can go and search that up. Then this clap, which I should actually play in context, is also from the By the Producer kit. And we've also got some more shakers here, which I'll play with the metronome so you can kind of understand how they fit in more. Which, if I play them just like that, actually they sound kind of out of time. So you need these drums as well. Oops. Because they're kind of swung. So I put these in. Let me find them. Oops. Here they are. So they're not actually swung in terms of if you see, the notes are all on these lines. It's this in FL Studio. There's a swing dial that I've turned up to 50%. So I'll just copy that so you can keep the place. But if I turn this down, put the metronome on so you can hear. But then if I turn this up to 50%. Okay, you can't actually tell that much, but trust me, it moves the notes and makes them more swung, and it gives it this kind of effect. It just adds some more groove to the drums. And yeah, this clap, like I said, is from the Digital Koala pack. It's just got some Camel Crush. Okay, that's barely doing anything. I don't think it's doing anything, actually. Some EQ. And we've also got this kick. Now this kick is routed a bit differently to normal, so that's the kick I showed before. Usually I'd have it going into the drum bus straight from here, but I think I did this wrong accidentally, but it kind of helps work better with the track. So we've just got a clipper on here. It's just very slightly clipping it. And this is going into here, which has OTT. That really changes the sound. It's at 25%, that's all I've done there. Everything else is just the same as when you load it up. This is free, in case you don't have it. This plugin, and it just makes it sound more glued to itself. I don't quite know how to explain it, but yeah, you can hear the difference. So this is it off and on. It gives it more of a click as well, which helps cut through the mix. Because it's quite a sub-heavy kick, but yeah, that extra bit of click helps you to be able to hear it. And then in the build-up, we've got this snare, which, let's sample this. Just going up like that. And again, this is just going into the no kick bit. I also forgot to say, actually, that clap we've got is going into the clap bus, which just has some very slight reverb on. And then I'll just skip into the drop for the drums because we've got slight variation. Well, not so much variation, just some more samples and stuff. So these are the drop drums. So we've got this open hat, which again is from the Buy the Producer kit. Really good kit for UK based drums. That's just got some EQ on and a bit of transient shaping, just slightly taking the transient off. So if you don't know what transient is, it's like you see on this kick here. Let's make it big. You've got like this initial bit of information here that's like the click, the initial hit. And then you can see this longer bit here is a bit more information. It's like the lower sub bass kind of bit that hits in afterwards. So that initial click is what you call a transient. So some sounds have quite a sharp transient, like for example this clap. They've got like a short initial sharp hit. Whereas if you listen to this hat now, it's still quite snappy, but it's a bit less because I've slightly tamed the attack on here. So yeah, I just brought that down a bit. And yeah, just help tame that. And then we've got another drum layer, which is just here. And then we've also got this kick. Now this is 2 kicks with subs layered on top of each other. And somehow it works. This is not something I would recommend to do normally. So we've got this kick, which is not the kick from the intro, again from Digital Koala kit. Just that's not doing anything. And some EQ here, that's going straight to the drum bus. But then this other one from the intro, this one with the click and stuff, is going into no kick. And then that's going into the drum bus and they're being combined there. If we take a look at what processing is actually on here, in fact, I'll tell you what I can do. I will loop the drums just here. So this is with no effects on. And you can see what I've done to the drums in terms of processing. Ignore this OTT. In fact, yeah, let's turn that off as well and you can hear what that's doing. So this is the drop drums with no processing. And I guess, oh, obviously there's a processing on individual channels. In fact, yeah, let's just to really prove a point. Like, they don't sound glued together, but it sounds alright, which kind of shows you how important sample selection is, because sometimes people will message me and say, oh, my drums don't sound good, I'm not quite sure what to do. And one of the most important things is picking good samples, because it's easier that way. If you've got a good sample to start with, you don't really have to do much. Like, this kick's got some EQ on. This has got some EQ on just to take off the low end. That's barely anything. Like, they're almost all how they originally were. And if I enable, yeah, they're just slightly glued together with this OTT. But they sound good without all this processing on as well. Like, you could get away with that in a mix. And then I'll start turning these on, just show you what they're doing. So ignore these last 3 because these are going to be automated and this is just to make sure the drums aren't clipping. So this OTT is only on 15%, not doing much. Just helps glue stuff together. We'll probably bring out the hats a bit. And then we've got this that's doing nothing again. And a bit of saturation here that's going to help glue the kick and, well, I guess glue this kick to this kick and glue the kicks to the snares when they all hit at the same time. In fact, I just realized I forgot to show you this other clap. So this is off splice and it's really good to just layer it behind your normal claps and it makes it sound really impactful and sharp and cuts through. It's a bit subtle, but it works. Because if you listen, even though like this bass is so dense and thick, you can hear the claps really clearly. And like they cut through really well. And yeah, that's... Oh, we've also got some more drums here. This is just a shaker loop off splice. I think that has... Which channel is this on? Just got kickstart, just to give it that sidechain effect. I'm also cutting off the low end. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with these drums, to be fair. And yeah, shout out Digital Koala for having a really good pack on by the producer. Now, let's get into one of the bits you're probably all excited for. The basses. So, we don't have too many different basses going on here, Here's the initial bass. That's just been cloned a bunch of times there, as you can see. I was just trying to see actually if I've given it away in any packs or anything, but I don't think I have. So yeah, so we've just got one. Oh no, actually, I don't know what that other LFO is doing. What's this on? Okay, that might be on one of the other bits, but we can ignore that for now. So we've just got this one LFO shape that's basically controlling everything. We've just got a sine wave here down to octaves. And this is up 7 semitones. And we've also turned the wavetable position up as well. We've got a bit of FM going on. And then we've got a Combs filter, which you can hear really gives it the tone. And if you move this slightly, it's going to change the tone. And you can get a bunch of cool effects. And we've also got this sub, which just helps thicken it up a bit. And all of these bits combined, like, let's turn this off. Yeah, all of these things combined help make it sound really cool. If you're looking for good numbers to use for the semitones, you can try out 7 and 4. You can also use 12, but that's the same as just turning the octave up another one. And yeah, so we've got a bit of hyper dimension just to add a slight bit of stereo width. But to tell you what, really, I should turn off those effects just to show you what Serum sounds like. So we'll go through one by one, turn these on. Very slight amount of stereo width with that. We get a bit more with this. And then this distortion really starts to fatten it up. And then you can see we've got the LFO on the gain of this top end, just to give it that crispiness. And then if we go through the effects on here, there's not too much going on, to be fair. So we've got this EQ cutting off the low end. Then we've got an OTT, which has got some gain, and the depth is at 46%. Which really helps fatten it up. I think it sounds kind of like it helps bring out the transient as well. Again, I was describing what transients are before. And then this is another low cut, just in case OTT introduced any unwanted low end. Then this limiter is not doing anything. Oh no, it is slightly cutting off the top. And then we've got the kickstart, because obviously we don't want this bass to interfere with the kick. And then we've got this cool bass. I like this bass a lot. I was very pleased when I made this. So let's turn off all these effects again. And if we go through, turn all of these off. This is the initial bass sound that we were dealing with. So again, very similar to before actually. This down 2, this is up 7. We've got the combs here. It only shows up with this when I'm holding down a key, because we have the envelope assigned to the mix. Because I think my guess as to why I did this was, if I just had this turned up all the way, when I let go, it would have like this kind of weird crackly tail effect, which we don't want. So if you're having that problem, turn this down and add the envelope to the mix. You can do it on things like reverb as well if you're distorting reverb. Got the sub as well, of course. And then, oh yes, here's what I was saying about distorting reverb. So we've got the envelope on the mix of the reverb as well. So that just, oh wait, I missed the chorus. Just adds a slight bit of stereo. Then this makes it sound like it's in a small room, basically. It gives it quite a cool tone for distortion. We've got a bit of gain, just pushing it a bit more. And similar to the other bass, we're really pushing this top end. Really quite excessively. We've got serum effects with multi-band compression on and loads of gain. These are all just where they are. So you can actually hear there, that tail thing. If I hold down the note, that slight, like, crunchy sound afterwards. We don't really want that. Well, I don't personally. So if I let go, you can hear there, it cuts off. And that's only because I've got this envelope on the mix of the filter and the reverb. If I didn't have that, it wouldn't work. Then we've got this phase distortion, which is very subtle, to be fair. And then we're just cutting off the low end because we've got a sub-layer going on. A limiter basically doing nothing, and kickstart, of course. And again, this is basically the same bass. Like, these two bits of the FM here, FM from B and FM from the sub, are basically the same as before. All very similar effects. In fact, my guess would be I made this bass, duplicated it, and made this long bass from it. In fact, they're even on the same channel, so they've got exactly the same processing. And then we've got this other bass, which, again, looks the same as this. So, here's what's going on here. Again, all very similar to each other. But the main difference here is we've got this set to trigger mode and this set to 1/8. And then this is automating the pitch. So if I hold down a note, you can hear it goes from one note to the note below. And that's done from assigning this to the master tune, which is here. It's just set to 1. And then we've got it on this thing, which I can never remember the name, where it's going one way. And yeah, this looks like all the same effects as the bass from before, pretty much. You can copy them if you want. Oh, if I forget to cut that bit out in editing, I was just having a drink. And yeah, it's got the same processing as well. And yeah, it's pretty simple, to be fair. And then you can see here we've got pattern 7 for the start of the drop. And then you can see here it changes. So, let me try and figure out what I've actually done. It's this bass duplicated. My guess would be I've changed that. Nope. Let's try and figure out what I've changed. Ah, okay, so I had the first one up 7 semitones. And then I put it down to 0. That's it. And it's literally the same pattern, just changed like that, just to add some variation in. So I would have literally duplicated the first bass and then done that. And yeah, we've got a few swells of reverb. If you listen very carefully, I'll show this to you. Just to keep the energy up, all that kind of thing. And yeah, we've got the standard things in the build-up. Let me try and find all the automation that's on the basses. Just with reverb being automated and a filter, nothing fancy at all. And then yeah, let's go on to these synths, which again, I hate to disappoint you, but they're nothing fancy. It took me a while to write these chords, I can't lie. Now, I think... you can see it here. So, if I move my mouse over this, it's all, like, it lights up all of them. So the reason is because I use these. If you're in FL Studio, you can just come and click up here and you can pick any of these chords. And if you want to experiment with some cool, I'd say these are kind of like garage style chords, but I guess they probably have influences from gospel or something originally, but I don't have enough music history knowledge to know. But you can use all of these chords and literally just click it in. And it's an easy way to just write cool chords because you can just experiment with them. And then, yeah, that's how I probably did that. I can't say I remember fully. And then if you see here, you can see that this just follows the notes. In fact, I should show you the serum presets. So this one was actually a preset. This would have been off Splice, I believe. It's a really nice sound. And yeah, with the processing, we've just got some OTT, depth at 26 and a bit of gain. Cut off the low end because we don't need that. Limiter doing nothing. And kickstart, of course. And then we've got this ARP sound. Really simple. Literally just 2 of the default waves with this LFO shape. This one's up an octave. Added a filter. We've got some chorus. And again, this is the thing with the envelope and the mix. If I hold down the note, you can hear the reverb tail. But if I let go, it just stops. Which, to be fair, it does sound kind of clicky on its own, actually. But in the context of the whole mix, it's alright. And yeah, just some EQ taking off the low end. Well, it's quite a big high boost, but it works. And, of course, kickstart. And then we've also got this Reese. So nothing fancy here. The 2 default waves, both down 2 octaves. We've got the sub on as well. And then this is minus 33 cents and this is plus 33 cents. We've got a filter on both of them with a bit of drive as well. The cutoff is at 388 if anyone wants to copy that. Just make sure Audacity is still recording my voice for you. And then some distortion, basically at halfway on tube. A bit of chorus for some stereo width, and also this adds a filter which you can see here. Although you can't really tell there. And then a bit of gain, and then we've got these effects. So serum effects actually is turned off. I think that's just in because of my template. Then we've got this filter which is just automated. Limiter doing nothing. So the only effect really on here is the kickstart. Yeah, you don't need anything fancy and it works. And then as we go, in terms of composition, I'll just click through on here. Just here it stays on this chord. It doesn't loop back to the start. So we've got chord 1 here, chord 2 here, chord 3 here. Then you should go 1, 2, 3, and then you should go 1, but it just stays on the 3rd one as it goes into the build up. So I'll play it from here. And because this is like at the start of the loop, this is chord 1. It's the root chord of the key. It sounds like home in your brain. Even if you don't know anything about music theory, you just kind of hear it and you're like, oh, it sounds like it's resolved. So by leaving it on this, which is not the home chord, it kind of builds suspense, and it's like, it's not out of key, but it doesn't go back to the note you would have thought, and it's kind of surprises the listener. And yeah, it makes this suspense, and then when the first note of the drop hits and it's the home note of the key, it goes, oh, that sounds nice. And yeah, it's just a little trick, again, that you can use to help build the suspense. And yeah, I think it sounds quite cool. And then yeah, that's most of the track. we've just got some effects going. We've got a lot of effects in this track, and they're kind of constantly going on. Like here, we've got this white noise down in the intro, and as soon as this stops, we've got another one going up. Then we've got this impact, exhaust. And yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff. Most of them from free packs as well. Like the cymatic stuff are really good. And like it doesn't happen at the start of the drop. Because you've got like the initial impact of the bass. But when you've got, like, it goes into this bit with more hats. We've got these constantly going in the background just to add another texture. Like, it's mostly white noise, to be fair. And yeah, it just adds this nice background layer. And we've got these effects in the build-up. And if you listen, they've all got kickstart on, so they're kind of going whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just to add even more groove throughout the whole track. And then let's get on to this final bit. Which I'm 90% sure is just a splice vocal. And if we turn off all the effects... Oops. It's not too far off the original. Obviously, it's been stretched to be in time because it's originally at 103 beats per minute, but the track is at 129. And then we put it down 600 cents, not 600 semitones. So 6 semitones.
Pull up and play back again. Pull up, beg you play back again. Pull up, beg you play back again. Select that, turn up the beat.
And yeah, you can hear the difference there. I just thought that fit better with the track. Now I'm going to delete this so I don't get confused and turn it on. Hopefully that's not messed up the whole track, but I do not think I was using that. If I loop this, hopefully it will. Right, yeah, so let's turn off all of these and see what they're doing. OTT on vocals works wonders. So yeah, just a bit of gain, a bit of depth. Then I'm guessing a lot of this will be automated. A subtle reverb. Then a reverb that's going to be automated. Another reverb that's going to be automated, probably in the build. A filter that's going to be automated. And then we just have this low end cut because we don't want any unnecessary low end from our vocals. And yeah, that's basically everything with this track. If you got any questions at all, leave them as a comment on Patreon or YouTube, whichever. Patreon's probably easier. Or send me a message on Patreon, it's up to you. And yeah, leave comments as well, or messages, for what track you want to see for next month's track breakdown. And yeah, I hope you found it useful. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.